Good morning. I wanted to share a quick thought on this week's Torah portion. This week's Shabbos is loaded, super duper loaded. We have 3 different parts of the Torah that we're going to read. We have this week's Torah portion called Tazria. We have Parshas HaChodesh, which is special about the idea of having a new Hebrew month. And Rosh Chodesh is actually the day of a new month, the new month of Nisan. So this Shabbos is mad loaded. And besides for that, we also have the fact that in 2 weeks from today, we will be getting ready for our Passover Seders. So, what do we do with all this? How do we connect the dots? How do we use this Shabbos as a catalyst, as a springboard for us making sure that we're ready for Passover? And how do we connect these 2 ideas? So this week's Torah portion talks about the leper, the spiritual leper, the fellow who goes ahead and he talks bad about somebody else. He gossips, he's a slanderer, or perhaps he's super selfish and doesn't think about other people, only thinks about himself. What happens? He gets a rash of different sorts on his body, on his clothes, on his house, and that is like a physical manifestation of something going on in the spiritual world. This guy has a flaw. He's erring in his spirituality, and God says, I'm going to show you this. I'm going to help you recognize that you have this flaw, and you need to work on this area by giving you some sort of physical wound or physical illness. This is what Judaism is all about. We are reminded that they're inseparable. Body, mind, soul, you can't separate them. They're all connected. They're an essential part of who we are. And therefore, Judaism says, with this example of this concept of don't separate the mind and body. Don't separate the body and soul. You need to use them to help each other out. And this week was such a great reminder for me because I went on Sunday, this past Sunday, I ran an obstacle course down in Exeter, Rhode Island. And I decided I was going to do the level up. I really was ready for a 3-miler or a 5K type obstacle course, but I decided, you know what, I'm going to do the 5-miler. Why? I wanted to push myself a little bit extra. But as I'm running it, I'm seeing that, wow, I really wasn't ready for this. And during that time, I'll give you one example. They give me a 50-pound sandbag to carry down and around in the valley and up this hill. And as I'm schlepping it up this hill, it's burning me down, and my legs are burning, my calves are burning, and my shoulders are getting heavy. And in that moment of stress, of my bodily stress, it was a great moment for me to think about Passover cleaning. What? Passover cleaning? Obstacle course running? What are you talking about? When we Passover clean, when we go through our houses and start to look at every nook and cranny and try to find the little crumbs that are there, what are we really doing? We are out there physically searching for the crumbs in our house. But it's symbolic of, and it's supposed to help us to turn inward to ourselves and say, have I dug around deep down inside of me in my nooks and crannies to see what is the crumbs? What's the chametz? What's the ego? What's the evil inclination, the bad parts of me that I need to remove? And how am I going to remove them? So when we Passover clean, it's really us doing something physical to trigger an effect, to trigger our spiritual side of things, which is very similar to what the tzaras, the leper, is all about. The leper has a flaw within his spirituality. And therefore God says, look, I'm going to give you something physical that's going to trigger and remind you about your spiritual aspects of yourself. So when we ourselves do this, when we go through the Passover cleaning process, when you run an obstacle course run, or the challenge I throw out there is that when we do something physical and when it's stressful or straining and tough for us to do, in that moment of stress or challenge is a great time to actually think about something that we could change within our physical lives in regards to our spiritual lives. So here's the challenge. This week, think of something physical that's tough for you to do. Let's say it's hard for you to walk a mile. So decide that you're going to go out there and you're going to walk that mile. And when you hit the point where it's challenging for you, wow, it's getting hard for me to walk this part, push yourself through that tough time. And while you're going through that stress, during that strain, think about yourself. Is there something about you that you could change, that you can make a difference in, that you're going to decide that you're going to think of a way to change that challenge, to change that area of yourself that you need to work on, that flawed area. That's my challenge. Think about it. It's an interesting idea to go ahead and stress ourselves or challenge ourselves physically to help us think about our body and soul and our mind, body, soul connection. So that's the connection of the Torah portion. We have the leper that teaches us about the connection between physical and spiritual. We do something physical. We just talk and gossip about other people. We don't treat other people properly, and therefore we get this rash, which is supposed to be a reminder of, whoa, up your game, up your game. You got to work on those character traits. And it's the same thing when it comes to Passover cleaning. The removal of the chametz is the removing of the ego, the removing of those bad traits that we want to work on. And if we do that, then we'll have an amazing experience. We'll prepare ourselves the next 2 weeks for Pesach, and our Pesach will be an amazing, uplifting experience. So let's use this Shabbos to gain that strength. Have an amazing Shabbos. I look forward to hearing about the challenges you create for yourself so that you can tap into your deeper, strong self and have an amazing, awesome Shabbos and a fantastic Pesach.